Snow is gonna fall too fast for people to be able to drive and snow plows to clear off the roads. So this is gonna be a time to not drive, folks. We have got a major winter storm on our hands that's gonna be tracking all the way from the southern plains back up into the Missouri area and then up into the Ohio Valley. We are talking about snowfall that's gonna shut down cities. Also, the potential for ice accumulation that could shut down power grids all the way from Texas through Arkansas, all the way up into the Tennessee Valley, up into Kentucky. This is not a guarantee, but it's definitely something that folks need to be aware of. We will be going over the different model solutions later in this forecast and giving you guys all the information that you need in order to get through this next snowstorm with less anxiety and more confidence. Checking out our weather cams out there. This is up in New York near Dunkirk. This is a very similar situation that we could see across a large portion of our country later on today. This isn't the same storm. This is a little lake effect band that's coming through with very heavy snow, but it really does give you a good sense of what is possible as our next winter storm comes through. You see, roads are gonna be very hard to drive on. These guys are ready for stuff like this, but down here in the South and Midwest, not as prepared for a storm like this than maybe up there in New York or over there near the Great Lakes. Now, before we get started, I really want you guys to hit that like and subscribe button. It does help us reach more people out there, but let's go ahead and get right into the forecast. So the main thing that we are watching with our storm out there is this little low pressure system that's going to be coming through the Great Lakes basically today, and then behind that we're going to have an area of anomalously high pressure make its way into the northern United States. Now, a lot of our models had this a little bit further south, which is why we saw, snow in Tennessee and northern Alabama going into Arkansas. But now our models, if we go back in time for this exact time frame, you can see that they have been slowly shifting more and more to the north, and then kind of parking itself over Minnesota and over there into northern Wisconsin, where our most anomalously high pressure is right now. Also, one thing to note is that we have a little bit more of a low pressure system back over here that is going to be grabbing our Baja low. This is the guy that's going to be responsible for bringing that snow into the United States. On the southern side is going to be a little bit more rain. There's colder air. On the northern side, that's going to be causing more snow, more sleet, or freezing rain. But essentially, the air around this low pressure system is moving like this. The air around this high pressure system is moving like this. So you can imagine our flow out there for this low pressure system is going to be kind of like this, and it's going to be seeing a little bit of suppression, but most of the models are hinting at the idea that we will see more of an amped storm, or a storm that is more amplified, which will be able to tap into more warm air from the Gulf of Mexico and pull it up a little bit further north than what some of our models have been saying, which is why we've been seeing our snow total shift to the north lately. Another reason why they continue to shift north is as we continue to push this forward, you can see that high pressure system gets kind of skedaddled out of there, and then our low pressure system comes in, and look at this, we got another higher pressure behind it that could nudge this storm even maybe a little bit more to the north and east, bringing the central area of our lowest pressure all the way back up here into the Midwest. Now, what does this mean for snowfall? So we have been continuing to see our snow and freezing rain and sleet line continue to move more north and more north. That trend, at least for our freezing rain and some of our snow, even initially here, where we're going to be talking about snow totals and ice totals later on. As you can see, we're definitely getting some consensus here on a final solution. If I go back and look at the model trend again at this exact time frame, but going back into the past to see what other model runs have said, you can see that we've been getting some consistency, especially here from the Euro, on where this snow and sleet line will set up initially, maybe a little bit further north there in Arkansas. Now, again, this could be freezing rain or it could be sleet. If we compare this model run to some of our other models, keep in mind this right here, this pink, that's freezing rain. And for the most part, on most of these models, the purple is going to either be a mix of freezing rain and sleet or just sleet. This is the Euro solution. You can see we do have a healthy area of freezing rain into this area. Again, that freezing rain can cause some issues. It can make power outages, but it really depends on how much icing accumulation you truly get out of a storm like this. this. We're talking about areas of Texas near the DW area, in the DW area, southern Oklahoma, and southern and central Arkansas as we head into early morning on Saturday. Now, if we look at some of the other models for this exact time frame, you can see a different story. This is the GDPS. You can see that we have more of a sleet issue and our freezing rain is a little bit further south. This is technically better news than icing. Sleet doesn't cause as much of an issue as freezing rain, given the fact that it doesn't cause a bunch of power outages and all that kind of stuff. But they still have a band of freezing rain here down to the south. So still some disagreement here between our models on whether this is not going to be sleet or whether it's not going to be freezing rain. We don't really know. GFS leaning more towards sleet in this area. It has also been correcting to the euro as some of our latest runs, not as far to the south, a little bit more looking like some of our other models. You have the Icon, which is bringing a little bit more freezing rain, but the Icon's not really that great of a model. You've got some of our shorter range, higher resolution models indicating that it's probably going to be freezing rain. But look at this, the NSL MPass has our freezing rain way up to the north. Now, is this a new trend? Kind of. I mean, some of our other shorter range models do support that being a little bit further up to the north. So we've got to watch this new trend. Are we even going to go further north with some of our trends? Or is it going to stay around where it is today? Again, still not 100% confident on what this is going to do, but I do feel like we're getting closer. Wrap model also a little bit further north with that sleet or freezing rain. RDPS, kind of similar to the GFS in the euro. Another one of our high resolution models coming in a little bit more north. So is the higher resolution giving us a little bit better of a picture of just how far north our warm nose is going to be, which is a layer of warm air that is above the surface. It's going to be keeping a lot of this precipitation from not being snow, because underneath all of this, it is going to be below freezing near where you are, near the ground. But above your head, it's like it's going to be warm. In some of our higher resolution models, which again aren't really that great this far out, but works somewhat in the range of accuracy of some of these models, are trying to hint at maybe even a further north shift. But I do think the bottom line with all of that is that we're definitely seeing still a lot of uncertainty. Moving forward into our forecast out of Saturday and then moving into early Sunday morning, we're talking about 12 a.m. here. You can see that our rain sleet line, especially down here in the southeast, is still continuing to move up to the north, especially on the euro. But we'll be looking at other models, but you can definitely tell that areas like Arkansas and Texas, going up into Mississippi, Western Tennessee, and also maybe even into Kentucky now, are seeing that freezing rain potential, with our snow line still potentially impacting Oklahoma after this point. I mean, that's almost more than a day of snow over there, and our snow starting to creep into the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. Not very often that you see a snow area that extends all the way from Texas to the East Coast. So just take a second, sit back and look at this and devote it to your memory, because you're not going to see this very often. This is actually a pretty rare event, not completely out of the ordinary to see snow in these areas. These are some of the areas that usually get snow, so there's nothing super surprising there. But man, this freezing rain is a pretty rare event down here. Definitely need to be watching to make sure that we are prepared for that possibility. Hopefully, as we get closer, we get an agreement and we can really nail down whether or not this is going to be sleet or freezing rain. But yes, this is the Euro solution here. Now let's go check out some of our other model runs at around this time. So again, this is around Sunday at 12 a.m. And here's the Euro solution. Looking at the GDPS, pretty similar look, except less sleet or less freezing rain and more sleet. You can see that purple showing up. GFS, also less freezing rain, more sleet. The Icon, still freezing rain. Some of our higher resolution models are in agreement further down the line here, with the NSL MPass saying freezing rain and the NAM is saying sleet. RDPS says sleet. Another one of our higher resolution models, the RRFS, says freezing rain. So right about a 50-50 chance here for this to be freezing rain or sleet. So it's not a guarantee that this will be a freezing rain disaster. But when a freezing rain event of this magnitude is at or above 50%, you do need to be paying attention and making sure, at least at this point, have some preparations in place for power outages, just in case the models lock into a solution of freezing rain before we get into this. Another thing that I want to note is that our higher resolution models also have our snow and sleet line or freezing rain line a little bit further to the north. You can see that a lot lot of Kentucky is actually in the sleet and freezing rain, according to some of our higher resolution models. That's the same here for the RFS. If we compare that to the Euro has most of Kentucky in the snow here. So is the Euro a little bit too far south now? I can't believe I'm saying that, but it could definitely be possible that we could get another trend to the north. Now, again, it's not guaranteed. These higher resolution models are a little bit iffy, especially at this time frame, so they might correct to the Euro, but it's something to watch, something to note. I mean, even southern Missouri could get into that freezing rain, which really wasn't in the forecast yesterday either. So I don't think it's time to lock in a forecast, especially for Sunday yet, but we're going to be talking about at least Friday to Saturday's impacts to give you guys a better understanding there. Now let's move our models a little bit further into the future to the tail end of our event here, which is going to be a low pressure system down over here and another low pressure system off the coast, kind of interacting with each other to bring some extra snow up here to the northeast and Ohio and potentially even Michigan over there. One of the things that we do need to be keeping an eye on is where this freezing rain line is, especially over in Virginia. Remember, we were talking about yesterday the potential that northern Virginia could get some snow, and you still might, but look, we might actually see that transition more into freezing rain. This is another part of our forecast that has been trickling up to the north even more, and we could be seeing widespread freezing rain or sleet event, or maybe even just rain back over here in parts of North Carolina and Virginia. Now we're talking about Sunday afternoon here, so we're still a little bit far out, but generally a lot of the models agree that we are going to have a decent precipitation shield back over here in the northeast, including Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, and over there in the New England area are all going to see some pretty heavy snow out of this and some extra snowfall totals. Don't know exactly how much that's going to be. We're not going to be talking about in this forecast because it's a little bit premature. Don't want to get your guys' hopes up or down when our models aren't really in total agreement. And then let's go look at our different models just so you guys can see. If I come over here, GFS is a little bit further south. UK Met is a little bit more suppressed, but still decent snowfall there. Not too far of a difference there between the Euro, but you can see here, it's saying sleet. Euro's saying freezing rain, and the GFS is saying sleet. So that's 2 out of 3 models saying sleet, not freezing rain. So again, a lot of uncertainty here, a little bit of differences there in the intensity of the snow and just how widespread this snow shield is. So that's why not going to really talk about Sunday's snowfall until about tomorrow. But checking out the snowfall here, at least where we're in an area of accuracy back over here into parts of Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, going into Missouri and northern Arkansas. I do want to put a caveat on northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. As we've seen on some of our higher resolution models, that freezing line or that freezing rain line is a little bit further north. If that continues to trend that way as we get closer, a lot of folks over here near Jonesboro, Fort Smith could be dealing with a little bit more of that freezing rain. So just keep that in mind. But our first official call for snow here, at least on this channel, is a lot of Oklahoma is going to be getting over 10 inches of snow, especially north of Norman. We're talking about over there near Tulsa, around 9 inches. We're near Woodward and Alva, up to 9 inches as well. Maybe some isolated spots of over a foot out there. In Kansas, we're talking about 7 to 8 inches across much of Kansas. Pika maybe a little bit less, but still around 7 there. Down near Wichita, we're talking about 9 to 10 inches being possible, 7 to 8 on the low end. Eureka, same thing. Now, coming into Missouri, southern Missouri could get up to 9 inches of snow, but again, keep in mind that rain and snow sleet line or rain and snow line is getting a little bit closer to you guys. So this might underperform on the south if that northern trend continues north over the next day or two. But generally, I am expecting anywhere for the people that are in the snow to be getting over 10 inches of snow, or maybe just a little bit under it. The further north you go, the drier the snow is going to be. So we're going to be talking about less snow further up. But look at this over here near St. Louis, potentially up to 8 inches of snow, and back over here into northern Arkansas. This assumes that our sleet and freezing rain line doesn't continue up to the north. We're talking about the potential for 8 to 9 inches of snow. But again, if you get more sleet than what's forecasted, that's going to be a lot lower. Now back over here, as you can see, we have a lot more snow to fall after that, but still a lot of question marks on what is possible out here. So we're not going to really talk about the exact snowfall totals, but I do want to kind of just show you where the snow is going to be possible. It's really locking into in this area for the Northeast, going into the Tennessee Valley And one thing that I want to note about this map is that this snow line, especially down here, has the potential to sneak a little bit further up to the north. So some people in southern Kentucky might get a little shafted out of this storm and might even see mostly sleet and freezing rain. So again, those are the possibilities here. That's the snowfall totals I'm actually comfortable talking about. And yeah, folks, I mean, regardless of where you are, especially back over here near Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas and Missouri, definitely want to be going ahead and getting prepared. This is the area that needs to get prepared for snow. Now let's go look at that freezing rain. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you, this is the worst case scenario. This assumes no shifts back over here. This is the main area where we're gonna be talking about our freezing rain amounts. If there are no shifts, it looks like Arkansas over there in northeast Texas going up into Missouri are gonna be getting it to worse, but even all the way back into this region here could have some pretty significant icing impacts if this is freezing rain. Now again, this could still be sleet. It's about a 50-50 chance, but you should be preparing for the freezing rain just in case. Now in this area here, when you get above half an inch of ice, you're talking widespread power outages for a lot of folks. When you get over an inch of ice, you are talking about major power outages. Pretty much almost everybody without power. It could be pretty bad, and it's going to be bringing some dangerous travel conditions for the people that are going to be trying to alleviate some of this power outage issue, and unfortunately it's going to take a while. So I would definitely be prepared for this amount of ice if you live in this area. Let's compare this to other models though, just to see if we have any agreement on where this ice is, and of course we don't. Okay, now this is a big caveat that I love to put on ice. It usually takes about a day, about to a day out, to where you actually know what's going to happen. And you can see there's a lot of model uncertainty. The models that have more sleet have our ice a lot further south. Our ice problem would be mainly south of DFW, going up into northern Louisiana, into parts of Mississippi, northern Alabama, and into Tennessee. But again, remember, the GFS is a little bit far south. NAM probably has a better solution. It shows more sleet as well. The ice band is further to the south, and it's also further up to the north. We're talking about serious icing problems coming into western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, southeastern Arkansas, and northern Louisiana, with some icing problems over here near Midland. This is the blend of all models, and as you can see, it's showing lower amounts because there's big disagreement into how much sleet or ice we are actually gonna get. So I think the bottom line is, if you live anywhere from DFW into most of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and northwestern Mississippi and western Tennessee, I would be preparing for some ice or some sleet. Prepare for the ice, hope it's sleet. I think that's your brain. That's how your brain should be. That's how you should be thinking. But all right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.